More and more often these days, it seems we are treated with another horror story about awful things that happen to people in tabletop role-playing games. R/RPG horror stories is probably the most common one, and there are numerous YouTube channels dedicated to reading these horror stories out for listeners to listen to. And they're awful. They're deplorable. These people in these stories, whether or not they actually happened or not, but the way they're presented is truly outrageous. And for the ones that are true, it makes them that much more sickening. But the worst part is when those stories happen close to home. When those stories involve people that you look up to, people that you learned from. Those stories hurt the most. First, it was Adam Cobell in what happened with Farfarona. And now, it's Arcadum. At the time of recording this video, there are almost over 20 different people coming out with stories about how Arcadum treated them on and off stream. About how these people who considered him a friend treated their friendship. There are allegations of grooming, of sexual assault, of abuse, a myriad of other things. And they are all awful. Arcadum was one of those streams that I enjoyed watching from time to time. No, I did not watch every single stream. I did not follow every single campaign. But I did look up to him. He did a lot for the D&D live streaming community. But more often than not, it seems very, very difficult for game masters to just be decent human beings. And it really, really fucking sucks when someone you look up to, someone who you've learnt from and aspired to be on a certain level of in terms of streaming and world building and game running, turns out to be one deplorable fucking person. When this first started happening, there was a lot of people saying, well, that can't be true. There's only one or two statements about this. There's speculation about this person who everyone looks up to, who's done so much for the D&D community. It can't really be true. This seems like maybe they're just chasing clout. But then more and more statements keep coming out with more and more truth and more proof of what is being talked about. So much so that Devin Nash, head of Novo, the studio that has Arcadum on board, dropped him. In Devin Nash's official report, they were going to wait until they did an investigation. But with the numerous reports and the truth that is inlaid in these reports that cannot be ignored, they decided it was no longer necessary. And Devin Nash loved Jeremy. He was on a YouTube video for multiple hours describing his world of Dungeons & Dragons and what he'd created and what he'd done in terms of live streaming this world. And Devin brought him into Novo. They put him in the company. Devin was even in the most recent campaign running on his stream. And now, nothing. There are many high-profile streamers that have been involved in his games. Off the top of my head, I can think of Moist Critical, or Ludwig, or Donkey, and numerous others who have been involved in his community, in his world, in his live streams. And I'm most likely not wrong when I say they probably feel just as hurt as I do, to think that this was a very, very good person doing a lot of good for the D&D community, to then have this truth come to light. This horrible, fucking deplorable truth come out in the open. And I feel the utmost worse for Tiffany, his long-term girlfriend whom he lived with. She had to find out about all this through Twitter. And after reading numerous Twitter threads and articles from the people that were involved in this, she kicked him out. And she changed the locks. And she still, in the far reaches of her mind, loves him. because that's what manipulators do. They are very good at it. They manipulate you, so even when faced with the undeniable truth, you still have a hard time accepting it, and I'm sure she's not the only one right now. To everyone affected by Arcadum, who is directly related to him and was assaulted in any way by grooming, sexually or verbally or however, I'm truly, truly sorry that that happened to you. And it hurts to read your stories, because this is someone that I looked up to. This is a streamer that I learnt a lot about wanting to live stream a D&D game about. And this shit sucks. It really fucking sucks. And I can't even begin to imagine how Tiffany is feeling right now. I truly have no fucking idea how I would react or how I'd feel with all this shit coming out if I was in her shoes. I can't fucking imagine. It is not fucking hard to be a good human being. It is not difficult to be a decent person. So many people look up to you and trust you, especially the fucking players in your games that sit at your table and play your fucking game. They put so much trust in you, and you hugely fucking abandoned and broke it tenfold. Jeremy has said that he is going to go live on Twitch as soon as he can and discuss these accusations and most likely try and defend himself. Don't. This isn't 1 or 2 or even 3 accusations. This is over 20, and it is growing. Do not go live. Do not make a video. Just accept that your fucked up actions have now come around and are publicly known. And just leave. And of course, normally with things like this, you want to wait to hear what the other person has to say, because there's always 3 stories to certain elements like this. You have the story of the abuser, the story of the abused, and somewhere in the middle there's the truth. But there are 20 and growing abused and 1 abuser. There's nothing this person can say that can negate everything going on here. My last comment is to those of you who are still saying, well, there's no way this is all true. This must be an entire big planned attack on Arcadum. And I only have this to say to you. Where there is smoke, there is most likely fire.